What if the SpongeBob universe was completely flipped on its head? Imagine a world where the usual roles of your favorite Bikini Bottom residents were totally reversed, and this upside-down version wasn't just a dream or an alternate timeline, but the real version of the world. This isn't your typical SpongeBob fan theory. In this universe, everything you think you know about SpongeBob SquarePants has been swapped, rearranged, and reimagined. Here, SpongeBob isn't the cheerful fry cook, Squidward doesn't hate his job, Patrick isn't a clueless goofball, and Mr. Krabs, he's no longer the money-hungry boss of the Krusty Krab. Instead, they've all switched places in ways that totally reshape life under the sea. This alternative Bikini Bottom isn't a parody or a one-off episode, it's the norm. From career swaps to personality flips, each character has a brand new identity that comes with unique challenges, hilarious situations, and deeper insights into who they could have been all along. Get ready to dive into a fresh, bizarre, and totally fun version of the SpongeBob world. This is Bikini Bottom, but not as you know it. Let's explore what happens when everyone switches roles and it actually works. In this flipped version of Bikini Bottom, SpongeBob SquarePants is a far cry from the hyper-lovable fry cook we remember. Instead, he's a deadpan, slightly bitter cashier who spends most of his time judging customers from behind the Krusty Krab's grease-stained counter. With dark circles under his eyes and a tired sigh that seems permanently lodged in his chest, this SpongeBob has seen too much and cared too little. Gone is the cheery, "I'm ready" enthusiasm. Now it's more like, whatever, next. He still wears his uniform, though it's a little wrinkled, and his iconic square pants have dulled to more of a beige than a bright yellow. His pineapple house is no longer spotless, but cluttered with takeout containers, half-read books, and cold coffee cups. Even Gary seems more independent, often fending for himself, while SpongeBob stares blankly at late-night TV. What's funny is, he's actually really good at his job. He knows the register better than anyone, can predict peak rush hours with scary precision, and somehow always keeps the line moving. He never smiles, but customers trust him. He doesn't care for small talk, but his sarcasm is legendary. Someone tries to sweet talk him for a discount, they get a dry, "This ain't a charity, pal." Someone complains about the food, he shrugs and says, "Eat somewhere else." Surprisingly, there's a hidden layer to this grump. While he'd never admit it, SpongeBob still finds meaning in his work, just not joy. He respects punctuality, hard work, and secretly enjoys organizing the condiment rack to perfection. Every now and then, when no one's looking, he'll let out a small chuckle at a dumb joke from Patrick, or quietly hand Squidward a coffee without being asked. He's not miserable, just changed. This alternate version of SpongeBob is what happens when enthusiasm burns out, but responsibility remains. He's the backbone of the Krusty Krab, not because he loves it, but because he knows it needs him. Squidward Tentacles is the kind of fry cook who arrives at the Krusty Krab an hour early, not because he has to, but because he wants to. He ties his apron like a pro, sharpens his spatula with precision, and steps into the kitchen like an artist entering a studio. His workstation is spotless, his technique flawless. Every Krabby Patty he makes is plated with care and garnished with flair. It's not fast food to him, it's culinary expression. Instead of dreading his shift, Squidward thrives in it. He moves gracefully from grill to prep station, singing little operatic tunes as he works. Customers have come to expect not only great food, but a bit of a performance. Flamboyant flips, dramatic seasoning sprinkles, and the occasional poetic shout of voila when placing a tray on the counter. The Krusty Krab has never been more popular. Squidward's creative freedom in the kitchen has changed his entire outlook on life. He's no longer bitter or resentful. He's fulfilled, no longer ignored or dismissed. He now receives compliments from happy customers and even fan letters from aspiring chefs. His self-confidence is sky high, and he walks through town like a local celebrity. Kids ask for his autograph, and even rival restaurants send spies to copy his techniques. His dynamic with SpongeBob, the grumpy cashier, has flipped completely. Where once Squidward rolled his eyes at SpongeBob's energy, now it's SpongeBob sighing at Squidward's constant enthusiasm. "Why are you humming?" SpongeBob mumbles. "Because I like my life," Squidward answers with a genuine smile. It's not smug, it's sincere. On weekends, Squidward hosts Taste Bud Theater, an event where he cooks experimental dishes and reads poetry inspired by food. It's surprisingly popular. Even Pearl shows up occasionally, intrigued by the seafoam risotto and kelp sushi rolls. He's also taken younger employees under his tentacles, mentoring them in the art of food presentation and customer charm. What once seemed like a boring fast food job has become Squidward's stage, and he's finally found his audience. In a town full of oddballs, Squidward the fry cook is living his best life, and he makes sure every burger tastes like it. Patrick Star is the reason Bikini Bottom has electricity that works underwater, hover fins for public transportation, and vending machines that know your favorite snack before you press a button. He's not just an inventor, he's the city's leading innovator, scientist, and problem solver. Every piece of modern convenience that sea creatures enjoy probably started as a half-baked idea scribbled on Patrick's wall-sized whiteboard. He lives inside a sleek, shell-covered dome just outside town, a place known as the Brain Under the Rock. Equipped with labs, workshops, testing chambers, and even a think tank for local youth, it's a hub of constant buzzing, bubbling, and brainstorming. His daily uniform is a lab coat over pink coral fiber slacks. On his belt, a multi-tool he invented himself, capable of slicing kelp, soldering circuits, and blowing bubbles. Despite his brilliance, Patrick has the personality of a warm-hearted professor. He's forgetful, messy, and sometimes loses track of his own inventions. Once a jellyfish-powered auto shampoo sprayer ran wild in jellyfish fields for a week. But when something breaks in Bikini Bottom, the first words out of everyone's mouth are, "Call Patrick." It wasn't always this way. As a child, he was always curious, dissecting shells, building bubble motors out of soda cans, and asking questions no one else thought to ask. Why do snails meow? Can a sandwich be alive? What happens if we use lava to bake cookies? His answers became reality. He holds free weekly seminars at the Bikini Bottom Museum of Technology, where students and sea citizens alike gather to see what wild creation he'll roll out next. His inventions range from helpful, self-heating sea socks to slightly terrifying, the Thought Helmet 3000, which accidentally read everyone's crushes out loud at the last town fair. Despite his fame, he's grounded. He often visits SpongeBob during breaks, trying to get him to test inventions like the stress-free shift timer, which makes every workday feel shorter, something SpongeBob desperately needs behind that register. Patrick may not look like your typical genius, but in Bikini Bottom, he's a legend, not for being perfect, but for turning curiosity into creations that keep the ocean running. Sandy Cheeks still lives in her iconic tree dome, but gone are the high-tech inventions and constant scientific experiments. These days, Sandy is the most relaxed creature under the sea, a barefoot, easygoing nature lover who spends more time meditating than modifying machines. She teaches yoga on the weekends, makes homemade kelp tea, and plays acoustic guitar by the waterfall in her dome. Her days are filled with peaceful hikes through the jellyfish fields, naps in her hammock, and deep conversations with anyone willing to slow down and listen. The competitive edge that once drove her to outsmart sea creatures and perfect underwater tech has melted into a mellow attitude. She's all about balance, not brilliance. The town knows her as Calm Cheeks, someone who helps others find their center. She's written a few books on sea mindfulness, including one bestseller, Breathe in Bubbles, Finding Peace in the Ocean Floor. Her tree dome has become a popular retreat spot for stressed-out Bikini Bottomites. Even Mr. Krabs, now the struggling chum bucket owner, has tried her relaxation class, though he kept checking his watch. Despite her new pace, Sandy's still sharp. She just chooses not to flaunt it. When Patrick runs into a design problem or Plankton needs insight on a customer behavior model, Sandy's the one they turn to. She offers advice and metaphors and life stories, making her the go-to sea squirrel for wisdom wrapped in simplicity. She and Patrick, the genius inventor, have a deep friendship built on respect. He brings the innovation, she brings the intuition. SpongeBob, meanwhile, drops by her dome on rare occasions, mostly to escape his cashier job and eat some of her famous kelp brownies. Sandy's chill lifestyle has become an essential thread in Bikini Bottom's fabric. She proves that you don't need gadgets to be great. You just need a good heart, a quiet mind, and a hammock in the sun. Mr. Krabs wasn't always the owner of the worst restaurant in Bikini Bottom, but now that's all anyone remembers him for. The chum bucket sits alone on a quiet corner of the city, barely keeping its lights on, mostly ignored by customers and avoided by tourists. The only regular visitor is the malefish, and even he doesn't stick around. Mr. Krabs runs it single-clawed, managing the kitchen, counter, and advertising all by himself. Once a proud businessman, he now spends his days trying to reinvent chum as the next big trend in fine dining. He's changed the name 3 times already, first to Krabby Chum, then Chum Fusion, and now simply Bucket. None of it helped. The walls are lined with faded posters offering buy one, get 3 free deals. His new and improved chum nuggets come with glittery sauce and a prize toy, but nobody bites. He even tried paying paying customers to eat there once. That was a loss he still hasn't recovered from. Unlike his former self, who was obsessed with hoarding money, this Mr. Krabs is a desperate entrepreneur, clinging to every failed idea like it's a gold coin from his past. He talks to himself in the kitchen, testing new chum formulas and occasionally whispering, "This one's gonna be it. This one's the winner." But it never is. His rivalry with Plankton has completely flipped. Plankton, now the successful owner of the Krusty Krab, occasionally sends over free meals as a peace offering, which Krabs sees as pure insult. "Mocking me with his 5-star grease," he grumbles, slamming the door on another gourmet delivery. Despite the failure, Krabs doesn't quit. He's stubborn, determined, and somehow still convinced that chum can work if he just tweaks it right. Late at night, you'll find him scribbling out new slogans or sketching a new logo in the back room. He keeps a photo of Pearl taped above the grill, a reminder of why he's still trying. And when someone does wander in and order something, Krabs lights up. He becomes the fast-talking, deal-making, apron-wearing showman he once was. For a brief moment, the chum bucket feels alive again. Then it's back to silence and back to the drawing board. Sheldon J. Plankton isn't scheming anymore. He's succeeding. The Krusty Krab, once a modest burger shack, is now Bikini Bottom's most luxurious dining experience. And Plankton is the mastermind behind it all. Suited up in a tailored black vest, he greets customers personally, oversees the kitchen with laser precision, and runs the entire operation like a 5-star general. He transformed the Krusty Krab into a slick, high-end restaurant called Krabby Prime. Gone are the squeaky floors and paper menus. Now there are velvet booths, live music, usually a squid jazz trio, and patties served on polished shellstone platters with garnish made from imported sea truffles. Reservations are booked weeks in advance, and there's a waiting list just to be a dishwasher. Plankton's secret, organization, innovation, and a lot of rebranding. The Krabby Patty formula didn't need to be stolen. He created his own version with a gourmet twist, the Atomic Patty, a spicy, savory, customizable masterpiece. He lets the food speak for itself and the city listens. Karen, his AI assistant turned restaurant partner, handles tech and marketing. Together they launched a loyalty app, virtual ordering, and even underwater delivery drones. The entire city is hooked, and while Plankton's ego has grown with his success, he's also matured. He doesn't rant anymore, he negotiates. He doesn't chase revenge, he builds alliances. Even his old feud with Mr. Krabs has cooled off. Plankton knows he's won, there's no need to rub it in. That said, he hasn't lost his bite. He's competitive, sharp, and still a bit ruthless in business. When a new restaurant opens nearby, Plankton will check it out the same day. Not as a customer, but as research. His staff knows never to let their guard down because Plankton expects perfection. Ironically, his biggest challenge now isn't Krabs. It's keeping up with demand. Every morning he holds team meetings, inspiring his crew with motivational speeches and weekly bonuses. "We don't serve food," he tells them. "We serve greatness." The smallest creature in Bikini Bottom now runs its biggest empire, and while some remember him as the desperate underdog, the city now knows him as the culinary king. Mrs. Puff isn't dodging runaway boats anymore. She's dodging fashion paparazzi. These days, she's the founder and face of Sea Cheek, Bikini Bottom's top boutique for ocean-inspired fashion, accessories, and self-care. Located in a prime coral-laced storefront near Jellyfish Plaza, her boutique is all elegance. Pearl-tiled floors, jellyfish silk curtains, and mannequins wearing everything from reef gowns to casual kelp wear. Gone are the days of crumpled lesson plans and fear in her eyes. Now, Mrs. Puff starts each morning with kelp tea and a color swatch meeting. Her team of trendy assistants help her plan seasonal collections like Bubblecore Spring and Midnight Tide Fall. She oversees every detail, approving fabrics, guiding photo shoots, and even starring in ad campaigns herself. The fashion scene calls her Madam Puff, and the name has stuck. Sea Chic isn't just a store, it's a cultural hub. Every weekend, it hosts creative events like Doodle Hat Design Night, Coral Couture Runway Challenges, and even snail collar customization classes. Local influencers stop by just to be seen in the background of Mrs. Puff's latest product drop. She's even partnered with Patrick, now a renowned inventor, to create self-cleaning tote bags and bubble-proof mascara. Despite all this success, Mrs. Puff hasn't lost her touch as a teacher. She still mentors young fish interested in fashion or small business, offering internships and weekend workshops. "Style is confidence, darling," she says, and confidence is something you can learn. Her boutique also runs a charity rack. Lightly worn items from the previous season are donated to underprivileged sea creatures looking for a fresh start or job interviews. Her clientele includes everyone from Sandy, who likes natural fabrics and strong stitching, to even Mr. Krabs, who once asked if she could tailor his apron into something more entrepreneurial. Even Squidward has a standing order for Seashick's exclusive scent, Melancholy Mists. What happened to her old driving school? She sold it and turned the lot into a tranquility garden for overworked snails. When she walks by and hears the soft hum of relaxing music and spa bubbles, she smiles, thankful she no longer has to scream "break" every day. Mrs. Puff has found her lane, finally, and she's driving her own life now in style. Pearl Krabs runs Bikini Bottom's top driving school, and trust us, it's nothing like the chaotic classroom her father once warned her about. At Pearl Precision Driving Academy, everything runs on a strict schedule, from engine checks to lunch breaks. The school is known across town for turning reckless jellyfish racers and wobbly wheel huggers into licensed, law-abiding drivers. And that's all thanks to Pearl. She's tall, commanding, and dressed in a custom-tailored blazer over a sleek instructor's uniform. Her clipboard is always in hand, her stopwatch always ticking. Fish who show up late, sent home. Students who don't signal in the parking lot, demoted to simulator training. Her motto is posted at the front desk: if you can breathe, you can brake. Gone is the teenage girl obsessed with shopping and cheer practice. Pearl now channels all that energy into shaping the next generation of responsible road goers. Her once bubbly voice now speaks in calm, firm tones. Parallel parking isn't a suggestion, she tells her students. It's a lifestyle. Ironically, she took over the job after the original school closed down due to emotional instability in the faculty, a subtle nod to Mrs. Puff's not-so-glamorous past. But Pearl saw the potential in what driving education could be, and she transformed it. New vehicles, digital simulators, live dashboard cams, and a mobile app where students track progress and schedule tests. Even Sandy took a defensive driving course there after a jellyfish cut her off. Students both fear and respect her. She's known to sit silently during road tests, only checking her clipboard after a full lap if you pass under her watch. That license means something. It's not unusual to see new drivers leaving the building shaking and crying, but smiling. Outside of school, Pearl has become a public safety advocate. She visits local schools to talk about road etiquette and hosts an annual event called Break It Till You Make It, where young drivers compete in obstacle courses. The prize, a gold-plated learner's permit and a year of free kelp gas. She may not be the trend-following teen her father dreamed of, but Mr. Krabs still beams with pride every time he passes a car with her school's bumper sticker. I drive like Pearl taught me. In a city where chaos used to rule the road, Pearl brought order and did it in heels. Gary the Snail may still go meow, but don't be fooled. He's one of the most quietly powerful minds in Bikini Bottom. While most sea creatures still think of snails as simple pets, those in the know understand that Gary is much more than a trail of slime and sleepy eyes. Behind his shell lies a brain that never stops observing, planning, and influencing the world around him. Gary lives in SpongeBob's house, just like always, but instead of lounging around or chasing after yarn, he spends most of his time reading books, analyzing behavior, and running detailed social simulations through a network of CMOS-powered computers hidden under the floorboards. His shell doubles as a portable data center, complete with a retractable keyboard and satellite signal booster. He doesn't speak much or at all, but his body language, subtle eye rolls, and perfectly timed meows are enough to guide SpongeBob, Patrick, and even Sandy through some of their toughest decisions. He'll leave sticky notes, drop tools at key moments, or casually push someone toward the right answer, all without taking credit. Other characters have started to notice. Plankton once tried to recruit Gary as a business strategist after discovering Gary's influence on Krabby Prime's early marketing success. Squidward, oddly enough, consults Gary before major recipe launches, claiming the snail's eye twitches signal culinary approval. Even Mrs. Puff leaves fashion samples by Gary's bed to see which ones he rests on longest before finalizing a design. He's also the unspoken leader of the Snail community. Underground meetings are held weekly, where Gary lays out maps and updates on Bikini Bottom's political shifts, restaurant trends, and snail mobility laws. There's even a rumor that Gary played a secret role in shutting down a corrupt coral mining company last year. Despite all this, he still enjoys the simple things: a warm bowl of algae bits, sunbathing on the windowsill, and curling up in his shell when SpongeBob puts on those terrible soap operas. He doesn't seek recognition. In fact, he prefers when others underestimate him. That's when he works best, quietly influencing outcomes, connecting dots, and keeping Bikini Bottom just a little smarter than it realizes. To most, he's just SpongeBob's pet. But to the few who see the bigger picture, Gary is the silent strategist pulling more strings than anyone knows. Bikini Bottom has never been more alive. With every character swapped into a new role, the town hums with unexpected energy. What once felt routine now feels revolutionary. A world once built on chaos and comedy has evolved into something more intricate, a web of new talents, reversed relationships, and surprising personal growth. At the heart of this transformation is the Krusty Krab, now a sleek, high-end restaurant run by a focused and wildly successful Plankton. He doesn't just sell food, he curates an experience. And Squidward, who used to hate the place, now brings it to life with every dish he crafts. Customers arrive for the patties, but stay for the show. Just across town, the Chum Bucket sits in contrast, run by a desperate Mr. Krabs chasing a dream that's slipping through his claws. His endless rebranding, bizarre marketing schemes, and lonely devotion to failed ideas make him something of a local legend, just not the kind he wanted to be. The quieter streets of Bikini Bottom reflect the deeper changes. SpongeBob, once a bubbly optimist, now leans behind a counter with tired eyes and dry humor, while his best friend Patrick, now a renowned inventor, changes the way the town functions, one bizarre creation at a time. Though their bond has shifted, it hasn't disappeared, it's matured, and sometimes, when the timing is right, they still laugh like the old days. Sandy, once a hyper-driven scientist, now offers the calm that the town didn't know it needed. She brings balance, grounding the wild energy of innovation with wisdom and heart. Nearby Pearl trains the roads into order with her elite driving school, shaping new citizens with every firm glance and perfected three-point turn. Mrs. Puff, finally free from steering wheels and stress, has created an empire of style. Sea Chic isn't just a boutique, it's a cultural reset. It's where ideas are worn and confidence is measured in fabric and fins. And through it all, Gary stays silent, watching, planning, guiding. His influence is invisible, but powerful. Everyone thinks they're running things, but Gary keeps the tide moving in the right direction. In this new Bikini Bottom, chaos hasn't been erased. It's been refined. The town didn't lose its weirdness. It just grew up. Every role reversal unlocked something new in the characters we thought we knew, and made the world feel both unfamiliar and somehow more complete. It's not the Bikini Bottom you remember, but it's the one they were always meant to build. If you enjoyed this expanded look at what if every SpongeBob character swapped roles, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more what if scenarios. Let us know what other SpongeBob questions you'd like us to explore next.